I should note that this is an effort that is very bipartisan in nature. The House and Senate aren't voting today, so my colleagues in this effort aren't here except for my colleague Lynn Woolsey, who's been a leader in this effort. But Senator Ron Wyden and Congressman Ron Paul and Walter Jones have been strong supporters of this, and this comes to you with their endorsement. We believe that America has substantially overextended itself militarily far beyond what is necessary for our national security and the reasonable cooperation with allies that need us. I singled out Western Europe. We continue to be heavily invested in defending Western Europe to the point where the Western European defense budgets are significantly smaller as percentages of their GDP than ours. I do not know what it is we are protecting Western Europe from. And I do not know why, if there was a threat, they could not collectively, with their budgets and their populations, defend themselves, except for the fact that having read Tom Sawyer, which was apparently translated into all the NATO languages, they are very happy to have America paint the fence and act as if they are doing us an enormous favor by allowing us to. We continue to have substantially the weaponry we needed to defeat the Soviet Union in a thermonuclear war. That seems to me clearly a place where we can scale back. We recently destabilized the Japanese political system by insisting on keeping Marines on Okinawa for a purpose that's very unclear to me. And it is true, there are efficiencies, and we have people here who are expert in that, and those have to be pressed. The point is, as far as enforcing efficiencies, is this. When you exempt any agency from budgetary discipline, it becomes very hard to enforce the efficiencies. Enforcing efficiencies from outside is going to be difficult. Only when people know that there are real limits to what they can spend do they join wholeheartedly in that effort. We have a debt reduction commission that will be a deficit reduction commission that will be formulating plans. It is our intention, the colleagues I mentioned, Senator Wyden, Representative Paul, and Representative Jones, to circulate a letter to our colleagues to be sent to that commission pledging that we will not vote for any deficit reduction package that does not include substantial reductions in the planned level of military expenditures going forward. We have today a very thoughtful presentation. It's the product of a group of people who are expert in this area, who range across the political spectrum on other issues. And it talks about how to make substantial reductions from the planned expenditures, both in terms of scaling back commitments, in terms of efficiencies, in terms of sizing our weapons to the tasks that we do remain. We are not going to be asking members to sign on to every specific here. We do intend to forward this for those who will say we are being unrealistic. This is a very realistic, very well-informed example of how these things can be done. People might want to substitute one for another. People might think we could go further. But I do not believe after this is circulated that it will be possible for people to dismiss the argument that you can responsibly and at no cost to America's genuine security make reductions of over $1 trillion in what has been proposed for the military budget. And so I'm now going to ask my colleague, Lynn Woolsey, who's the co-chair of the Progressive Caucus, but again, I stress that this is one that unites, I think, people across the spectrum. And I will report some encouraging signs. At a recent meeting that we have in the Majority Leader Hoyer's office weekly of the committee chairs, several of my colleagues said, look, it is time to start looking at a reduction in military expenditures. I believe some tax increases will be necessary going forward. In my judgment, they should be on wealthier people. There will be spending constraints. There are areas in the domestic area that I would like